So I thought it'd be interesting to talk to someone who is a U.S. senator who's going to be receiving this, and not just any U.S. senator who represents a state that Donald Trump won by double digits. That would be Senator Jon Tester, who is a senator from Montana. Senator, how are you thinking? What's your headspace right now as you watch these proceedings in the House and know this is coming your way?
Well, look, what I hope happens if the articles come over, and apparently they're going to, is that the Senate takes this very, very seriously and gets as much information as they possibly can in order to make a good decision. We will be the jury. The Chief Justice will be the judge. And I think it's going to be really important that we treat this very, very seriously and treat the articles for what they are. We are three co-equal branches of government. The authors of the Constitution put impeachment in for a specific reason, and that's to hold people accountable. We need to make sure that we do that, and in order to do that, we need to get the information and have a good exchange in the United States Senate, and I hope that happens, and I think it will.
So one follow-up on that, and then there's a few other things I want to talk to you about. One follow-up is the question of the scope of this trial, and ultimately as sort of precedent laid down in that Andrew Johnson impeachment removal trial. Basically, a majority of the Senate is the ultimate arbiter on all sorts of procedural questions about who could be called as witnesses, what's germane, what's not. So the question is, do you have confidence in your colleagues in the Republican Party, because there will not be 51 votes to turn this into essentially a circus, to turn it into the kind of display that I think Donald Trump very much wants and some of his House colleagues, your House colleagues want?
Well, look, I think that I still believe in this country, and I still believe in this democracy. And I think if folks want to turn this trial into a carnival, I think there will be hell to pay for that at the ballot box. I think people expect an honest and fair trial and depoliticize it as much as possible. And I will tell you that is very difficult after watching the House for a bit this evening. But the bottom line is that I think the American people expect our government to work. And in order to work, you need to have a fair trial. And a fair trial is really basic to what this country stands for.
Let me follow up on the government working. You know, one of the arguments I've seen from the White House Republicans is that the House isn't doing anything. Today, they're going to send over the NDAA, which is the big sort of Defense Authorization Act. You tweeted about a vote out of the House for tribal recognition that is important to some of the folks, I believe, in your state, which just struck me as an indicator of the fact there is a lot of stuff that has moved through the House during this period in which they've, supposedly been dragging their feet and making its way to you in the Senate.
There's a pile of bills that have come through the House that we haven't taken up in the Senate because we've been dealing with judges mainly and a few appointees of the administration. Some of those are starting to break loose, and that's really good news. And I hope we can continue to do that. But trust me, Chris, impeachment has had no effect on the United States Senate. It's all been over in the House, and we could have been doing a lot of these bills that the House has passed, bipartisan bills, I might add, no brainers, but we haven't, and we've waited till the very end. And I just hope we can get them done before we leave here for Christmas, because I think it's really important. And you're right, the House has done a lot of work. I think we've done a lot of good work in the committees in the United States Senate. It's just a matter of Mitch McConnell allowing us to bring these bills to the floor that are so critically important for this country and getting them passed. And the list is long. I could go through them, but it'd bore you to death. But the truth is it impacts every American in this country.
Let me just ask, why has McConnell done that? Is it just because he literally prioritizes judges above all else? And so floor time is a limited resource. He wants to use the limited resource for the thing he cares most about, which is confirming judges. And then he just can kind of kick the can on legislation, which he doesn't care about.
I've got to tell you, I've thought about this, Chris. I cannot figure it out. I mean, the bills I talk about are not. They're not partisan bills. For the most part, they're not that controversial. And why we don't take some time on the floor and debate these. If one person or two people or five people are holding them up, who cares? Let's do what the greatest deliberative body in the world is supposed to do. Let's do a little deliberating, and let's do a little debating, and let's vote on some of these bills. I do not know why Senator McConnell is holding all these bills up. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's not like we're working overtime, because we're not. It's not like we can't stay here a Friday or a Saturday and get some of this stuff done, or even work on them during the week when we're normally here. The fact is I can't figure it out. I cannot make any sense. You know, there's a lot of folks out there that say government needs to run like a business. In this particular case, if we did, we'd go broke as a business. I mean, you need to have predictability in government, just like you do in business. And some of these bills that are out there give predictability, give certainty, allow businesses to be able to grow and employ people and add to our economy. So why is holding them up? Boy, you got me.
You know, I struggle sometimes to communicate just how bizarre the U.S. Senate has become under Mitch McConnell, but that's as good an expression of it as I've ever heard. Senator Jon Tester of Montana, thank you for making a little time tonight.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.